Hello all you fragrance fans out there, Tommy with Studio Sense here. If you stopped by the channel and clicked on today's video with the hopes of finding out about the new Prada Luna Rossa Ocean Eau de Parfum, the new EDP flanker, then you are in luck because that's exactly what today's video is all about. After this brief intro, we're going to put our laser focus into finding out about the note breakdown, the aroma, the performance, and whether or not it's something you want to plunk down your hard-earned cash on or give it a hard pass. So I've got that and more coming up, so stay tuned. Welcome back everyone. So the fragrance house is Prada and the brand new release is Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, the new EDP version of the OG Eau de Toilette. This is an interesting release because Prada put a ton of money into the marketing of Ocean, the original, this fragrance right here. If you don't believe me, just go to the internet, type in Prada Luna Rossa Ocean, and you will see not only Jake Gyllenhaal plastered everywhere because he's the face of the advertising campaign, but you'll see plenty of literal oceans, yachts, boats, red moons, because not only is it an actual cup, a very popular sport, but it is a very popular fragrance. In fact, Luna Rossa Ocean is Prada's #1 selling fragrance for men, at least here in the US. Not surprising then that they would sink a little bit of money into a brand new release, the EDP, but it's kind of a stealth release. They kind of kept it on the down low. Before we do anything else, before we go into further detail, let's first take a look at that presentation and maybe talk about a few things that are obvious. The box is a much deeper blue tonal quality than the original Prada Ocean. You still have the Prada lettering in white in the red stripe, and below that Ocean and Luna Rossa in blue. Eau de Parfum is in white on the bottom of the box. 3.3 fluid ounces, 100 ml. On the right side of the box, it says Prada.com at the bottom. On the left side of the box, near the bottom, it has a QR code. On the back of the box is the precaution information, the ingredients, address information, a UPC, and various stickers. On the bottom of the box, there's additional distribution information, various stickers, as well as a batch code. The top of the box just has a vertical red stripe. The bottle looks almost identical to the original Ocean. There are only two notable differences. First of all, it's a much darker or deeper blue. In fact, if you hold it up to the light, it looks like a dark turquoise or cayenne. Unlike the original Ocean that you can see straight through it, this looks like it's frosted on the inside. So it's not quite opaque, you can still see through it, but definitely not as clearly. It's, again, like it's frosted. The second difference is below Luna Rossa Ocean, it's got Eau de Parfum in white lettering, all caps. So that's the only difference. Other than that, and that adhesive sticker on the bottom with the batch code and additional information, it's identical to the original Luna Rossa Ocean. So there you have it. The presentation is very much identical to the original Luna Rossa Ocean, and that's very similar to other houses, similar to YSLY. In fact, the YSLY EDP Intense that was released is just the color is different, and it's solid. It's not a gradient. So that's pretty much the only difference in the bottle. So it's not a surprise that the bottle is that similar, and the only difference is in the color of the glass, the fact that it might be frosted on the inside, and then the white all caps stating Eau de Parfum. It is in fact a flanker and probably a true Eau de Parfum. A true EDP is when the fragrance follows the same formula. There's just additions made to the formula to make it deeper, more intrinsic, and more well-rounded, perhaps even more voluminous. So that's the next thing we're going to talk about. Now that we've had a chance to look at the presentation, what about the notes that make up the new EDP? So with Luna Rossa Ocean EDP, we have the addition of, in the open, we've got grapefruit. The heart is comprised of incense. And in the base, vanilla bean. little bit of a mystery there because they're only giving us the keynotes, and a lot of houses are doing that nowadays. Keynotes are when they only focus on 3 primary thematic elements or notes in the fragrance. In this case, they're giving us a top note of grapefruit, which is not unusual. Top notes are typically a fruit or some lighter spice or citrus. So in this case, it's grapefruit. The middle note is where they're talking about incense, which is a difference from the EDT. There was no incense, at least listed in the EDT. And then the base note is being called vanilla bean. And that is also a difference from the original. The original EDT had bergamot, mugwort, and pink pepper as the open. The heart was iris, lavender, sage, saffron, and a little bit of suede, which is where you get your kind of resinous textile, like a leather accord. And then musk, Haitian vetiver, and patchouli is the base of the original Luna Rossa Ocean. Now we've got the addition of grapefruit, and I say the addition because I feel like they're following the same plan, the same formula. So I feel like the formula is being carried over with the addition of these notes, because EDPs are typically a little bit heavier, a little bit more thoughtful, more introspective, and definitely longer lasting because of the heavier concentration of oils. Now that we've talked a little bit about the formula, we know what was in the original, we know what's in the new, at least to a degree, the keynotes, the trifecta. Let's take a look at the fragrance and check out that aroma. We're going to take the protective cap, which I like to leave these on just to prevent it from being depressed, because Luna Rossa Ocean doesn't have an actual lid. It's just straight out in the open. And I do love the fact that the bottle is the same, because I really liked, somebody put some work into the contrasting thematic color elements in the bottle. You know, you've got this deep oceanic blue, a little bit lighter blue, and then you have this contrasting red color, which is representative of the red moon. And then of course the aperture is a circle like the moon, and it's very visible. So great looking, fantastic looking bottle. I don't blame them for keeping most of the elements the same, just some very minor alterations. So the expectation for the atomizer is that it's going to maintain the high quality standards. Wow, that really throws a bunch of juice. The atomizer actually feels very light. A lot of fragrances you have to depress kind of hard, but this is just a very light touch, and it throws a ton of juice out there. Man, does that smell really, really good. I'm gonna go out on a limb, not really out on a limb because I'm pretty confident in what I'm saying, and to say this is a true Eau de Parfum. Okay, so this is not going in a divergent direction. They're not trying to pioneer a new territory with this fragrance. They just want to take and polish the original. And I have to say, as much as I really started liking the EDT after wearing it for a while, I felt like modifications to the original brief were needed. It didn't feel to me like a 1000% finished fragrance like a lot of designer fragrances do, specifically those that are mass appealing. It felt like there was just something missing, like some dark, not nefarious, but some dark corner or shadow of the fragrance formula that was like, fill me in with something, you know, there's a need here. I can smell and tell right away that they've taken care of those needs in the EDP. And primarily, they created this balance, right? So whenever you have an EDT and it doesn't have resins and it doesn't have a darker, like gourmand, like a vanillic element in it, you know what you're going to do. You're going to add resins, you're going to add labdanum, olivinum, some other kind of resin, incense. And so that's what they did. They added incense, and then some balance was needed, so they brought in, of course, vanilla, which is a very smooth, very creamy, very buttery kind of note. Blends seamlessly with incense. This isn't like some first impressions that I do where I've actually worn it overnight. I just got this in. I don't have the benefit of having worn it, but I can tell you right off the tester strip, I'm gonna go ahead and try it on my arm, that I really, really like this. You know, I don't want to say that it didn't feel finished. I just felt like it needed a little bit of get up and go. And they definitely have taken care of that in the EDP. Okay, so in the Eau de Toilette, primarily what you're getting straight out the gate is this very aquatic water molecule type aroma chemical that synthesizes the idea, at least olfactively, of a freshet of water, the crest of a wave, you know, as you're on a sailboat, and it's just, I mean, look at the commercial. Jake Gyllenhaal's got a Prada hoodie on, you know, jacket, hoodie, and water's all over him. And that's kind of the sensation you get by spraying on the OG ocean. They did a great job of that, and just underneath that oceanic template is this light leather, light suede accord that is what made Ocean such a unique kind of crafted fragrance, and such a manly, masculine fragrance as well as a signature scent. So it was definitely signature worthy, wear all the time worthy. That's not changed, but what they've done is they've definitely taken care of the linearity of the original. The original was relatively simple. It wasn't anything complex about it. It was pretty much a simple linear aquatic fragrance with a light suede accord that worked really well. Just happened to do a great job. And the addition of resins through incense and then the smooth, buttery, creamy vanilla has just taken it into a territory. And of course, I'm not nullifying the wonderful handshake that is given to you through the grapefruit accord. That grapefruit accord gives you that really bright fruit. I like the open, but the open isn't my favorite part of the fragrance. It's that dry down. They still maintain that light leather accord, although it comes across a little bit more leathery, a little bit more serious than the lighter suede that is in the EDT. That could just be in my imagination, but that's how it comes across. I'm not going to talk about performance. We're not going to go into that here. That has no place in this first impressions, especially since I've not really worn it at all. I will just say that I didn't have any problems with the longevity of the original Ocean, so it's not really a subject that needs to be broached at this point. I will say it's likely to have really good longevity. In terms of the projection, it does project a bit better. There's something definitely more dark and even lightly mysterious about that grapefruit, vanilla, and incense blend. The differences are all positive. I really like the fact that it's definitely darker, it's definitely heavier. You still have that crest of the ocean kind of water molecule that is the caveat in the original. That's still here. When you smell it, you still very much get that fresh blue. Oh, this is Prada Luna Rossa Ocean. It's got that Luna Rossa kind of refined, I don't want to say aristocratic because there's kind of a slight sport vibe to it. It's got this active kind of energy behind it, and I really like that about it. All of the Luna Rossa line has that, and I guess that's not really a mistake because it's, Luna Rossa is a sport. That makes sense, right? But it maintains something deeper, more intelligent, and more complex that's actually coming through the EDP of Luna Rossa Ocean. That white really stands out, so if you're looking at a shelf and these are side by side, you can very easily pick out which one is which is a little bit different than like YSLY, which you might have to pick up and hold it up to the light. This isn't Y Live, this is Y EDP. Some of those are a little bit harder to tell apart, whereas this is going to be much easier. Presentation, definitely aces there. The overall tonal quality and smell is fantastic. I can say very easily, if it's a choice between the two, you're going to go for the EDP all day, every day. Unless you just want something that's a little bit lighter, whose focus is a little bit more on that suede accord. This is a bit more suede, and then oceanic second, a little bit more serious on the blue oceanic, intrinsically and lightly sweeter too. There's a definitive addition of a sweeter note coming through from the vanilla, no doubt. My final thoughts, hands down, get the EDP all day, every day. Coming in at $130 retail is a little bit high, but that's for Prada, that's about par for the course for what they consider a higher tier classification of fragrance. This time you're actually getting your money's worth out of the EDP. Higher concentration of oils means more ingredients, means more cost, obviously. Your dark incense versus your light, creamy, buttery vanilla. And that blend, that combination makes all the difference in Luna Rossa Ocean EDP. For those of you that want to wait until it hits discounters, it might be a little while because again, this was a stealth release and it's going to take a while before people kind of catch on. But I think by far it is the better of the two fragrances. That's a wrap on my first impressions of Prada Luna Rossa Ocean Eau de Parfum. I think it's a fantastic flanker, and I'm really happy that Prada is actually putting some money into this pillar fragrance because they've pretty much done away with all of them, discontinued. So it's nice to know that they're stepping up at least in creating some more flankers to give us some more choices in the Luna Rossa line. I think you'll find if you try a sample of it, you'll agree with me. Guys, thanks so much for stopping by to check out today's first impressions. As always, thank you so much for your continued support on my channel. I'm Tommy with Studio Sense, and I'll see you tomorrow.